Hello everybody, I'm Ariel.
And I'm Rita.
And our video presentation is on the human brain. We'll begin by talking about the external structures. And as you can see, all over the cortex are these wrinkles, these projections and depressions. Well, these projections are known as gyri, and these depressions are known as focuses. And they help increase the surface area of the brain so we have more stuff to process with. And connected to the back of the brain near the occipital lobe, we have the cerebellum, also known as little brain. And here you can see how it's connected to the brain stem, and down here you can see the vermis and the horizontal fissures and the main primary fissures.
An interesting fact is that although it only accounts for about 10% of the brain's volume, it contains over 50% of all of the brain's neurons. So next we'll talk about the lobes of the brain. So here we have the frontal lobe, and it's divided into the left and the right hemispheres. The frontal lobe is responsible for higher executive functions such as emotional regulation, planning, reasoning, and problem solving. Then we have the parietal lobe, which is behind the frontal lobe. This one is responsible for integrating sensory information such as touch, temperature, pressure, and pain. Next, we have the occipital lobe in the back of the brain. It is our major visual processing center. And then we have the temporal, which is on the sides of the brain. The temporal lobe contains primary auditory cortex, which also contains regions dedicated to processing sensory information such as hearing, recognizing language, and forming memories. Then when we open up the brain, we can see it divided into the white and the gray matter. The gray matter is on the outer portion and the white matter is on the inner portion. Looks kind of like a butterfly. The gray matter is made up of the cell bodies of neurons, while the white matter is made up of the bundle of axons of neuronal cell bodies present in the gray matter area. So these two are connected. The white matter is responsible for transferring action potentials from one part of the nervous system to another, while the gray matter is involved in muscle control and sensory perception such as hearing, touching, seeing, and higher brain functionings such as decision making, memory, learning, and self-control. And we can also see the gray matter and white matter in the cerebellum here, and it looks like a little tree.
That's known as the arbor vitae, or tree of life.
And here in the cerebellum, the gray matter is involved in balance, motor control, coordination, proprioception, and precision.
So now we're going to talk about the internal structures. One being the thalamus, which is the relay center of our brain, and it helps regulate our consciousness and alertness. If we have any damage to the thalamus, you most likely will go into a permanent coma. Two is the hypothalamus, as well as the mammary bodies, which is the control center and helps keep our body in homeostasis, as well as it directly influences our automatic nervous system by regulating our hormones. And right here you can actually see the lateral ventricles and our internal capsule. Three is our hippocampus, which is involved in storing long-term memories. And right above that is our amygdala, which helps regulate emotions and also is involved in memory. Also helps us with our expression of memory and how we interpret it. 5 and 6 are the putamen and globus pallidus, respectively. It's involved in regulating our body movement. 7 is our caudate nucleus, which helps regulate the movement of our mind and eyes, mostly when we're thinking unconsciously. And finally, 8 is the corpus callosum, which connects the right and left hemisphere, which, although it is debated, it is believed that the right and left hemispheres are different in their functions, with the right hemisphere being the more creative side and the left hemisphere being the more analytical or logical side. It is fact, however, that the left hemisphere controls the right side of our body and the right hemisphere controls the left side. And that crossover actually occurs in the brainstem.